Hi everyone, can you hear me? If anybody can hear me, just say one in the live chat. Yeah. Okay. We are also in the live chat. So I just do a quick intro about today's event. We are starting at 8 p.m. sharp today. Yeah, just type one in the live chat so we can know that there are some audience in the, yeah, hi everyone. Sorry. Okay. Okay, it's 8 now. So I'll just do a quick intro about who we are before I pass the mic to Anna. So, okay. So I'm Betty from Miao Academy. Okay, probably some of you have heard about us by participating in our previous event, but just do a quick, very quick intro first. Okay, so okay, let me set it up. Okay, I'm Betty, and we are actually an edutech company. Okay, so some of you might have used our products before, but I just do a recap about who we are and what are the things that we are currently doing and what's our next plan. Okay, so we are an artificial intelligence company that aims to revolutionize students' way of learning math and science. And just very specific, we have two core products. One is a messenger bot to help students with any math queries currently, and you can ask any theories or definitions and it will give immediate response. And also for our core product is another core product is actually our math app, a homework search app that students can just simply take a photo, and our system within 2 seconds will give immediate guidance for those questions, like specific homework questions with similar questions with the solutions, and also the topics behind that particular question to guide them through. But I just cut it short. I'll show you about a very quick video about our core product first. Okay, just be careful of your earpiece if it's too noisy. Okay.
Yo.
Okay, so this is our core. Okay, so that is our messenger bot, and most of the functions are already available and it's free for students to use. And besides the core product side, we actually care a lot about students community. Okay, sorry, yeah, just this one. So far we have about 210 students registered with our platforms, and the next round we are actually introducing more subjects, including biology, physics, and chemistry. And most of the core functions will be free available for any students if they need additional support after the school. Okay, and it's a pure automated system, so they can ask real anytime, anywhere. There's no human behind the scene. Okay, so besides the core product side, we also care a lot about the community, including Miao Meets. In the past as well, but more in a blogging way. Rather than from now onwards, we will have more interactive sessions, introduce more live Miao Meets like today's session, and afterwards we are hopefully to organize this kind of events regularly, maybe once or 2 times per month. So you can just keep a watch out about from our social media platforms about the future events. In the past, we have interviewed some of the students who are very good at math and STEM, okay, and how to utilize their knowledges, make it into something really helpful in the world. Like some students who self-learned coding, and now he has been because of her STEM background, she moved on to go to be a full stack programmer, and now get very good offers, okay. And also some students who become entrepreneur after they have learned so much from the STEM knowledges, okay. And for more, you can just check about our bloggings, and in the future we'll move a lot of our articles into the 公众号, the China platforms, okay. So this is the core team, and actually Dr. Zhang, the middle one, okay, Rongli is also here today with us, but later she will say hi to everybody at the end of the event today. And most importantly, we want to introduce our very good community friends, and these are the people actually behind the scene to develop the knowledge of Miao. So including Diana C, the Breakthrough Junior Challenge winner. She has won a $250,000 bond-free scholarship from the Zuckerberg Foundations. And in the world, each year there are only maximum 1 to 2 students who get these awards, and she has been accepted to Stanford. Yeah. So, and among the people here, actually, I would say all of them are scholars. She has been awarded with some types of scholarship, including 2 of them, Darren and Siyu. They are actually the prestige PSA scholars, so the president scholars. And these are the group of passionate students behind the scene develop the knowledge of Miao, okay. And yeah. So we are very thankful for all our past partners and supporters, including AWS, the cloud service from Amazon, and also Microsoft. Actually, from there, we get the inspiration of developing our board systems, okay? And we were originally starting from NUS School of Computing. So, okay, just move on. Yeah, these are the past few events, and we have been very lucky to be constantly, in the past, we have been getting a lot of help from Ministry of Education as well, MOE. So including, like we have been hosted 2 exclusive events through the EduLab programs with MOE school teachers directly to understand about the teaching pedagogy and how we can make our automated system better. And from there, we got inspired about the auto-topic detection functions to help students not just solve the problems, but understand the topics behind the scene, how to help them with those similar topics, okay? So these are the few news features, okay? And I just cut on to a few more. Actually, for next month, we will have another event inviting 6 students from some of the, okay, I would say the 6 popular secondary schools in Singapore here. So they will be not sharing about how they score well, but sharing about the student lives in their school, okay? And that will be the next month, the Miao Meets. The finalized one, we will be announcing soon as well. And at the same time, we are also introducing our the live classes, the regular classes for next year. Okay, this will be our first ever launch of our regular classes. And we only have limited slots available for students. So if anybody interested can just sign up early. We will share about it soon. I think Ronnie will share about it soon in our social media platforms, okay? So that's all about it. Yeah, just nice. I got 10-minute slots. So, okay, from now on, I will pass the mic to Anna. And we are very thankful that Anna is, yeah, Anna is willing to help us to launch this first ever Miao Meets the live session, and she's only 13 years old. So if there's anything that she is not so used to the online sharing, the ways, just everybody, it's the first time for her as well. It's the first time ever for us as well. Just so I just pass the mic to Anna first. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's talk. I'm Anna, a Year 1 student from RGS, and I will be the host for today. The presenter for today is Siyu. She's currently studying NUS and an RGS alumna. She'll be sharing her personal story. During the sharing, if you have any questions, please ask in the chat group. Selected questions will be answered if there is extra time at the end. Please always be respectful towards everyone and be responsible for the freedom of speech in this classroom. This is my first time hosting here or there. Thank you in advance. Please welcome Siyu to start her sharing.
Hello. Okay, thank you for the introduction, Anna. So, hi, my name is Siyu. Okay, hi. So, I am Siyu, and I'll be sharing a bit about how I studied so far, and especially like some tips on studying math. So an overview of my presentation is I will start off with an introduction of myself, and I'll talk a bit about the studying tips that I've used so far. And then I will introduce to you a new type of revision method called retrospective revision. Okay, so this is my introduction. So hi, my name is Siyu. I'm 19 years old. I cannot play the guitar, but I was just holding the guitar for fun. Yes. All right, so a little bit more about my education journey so far. So I was from Fuhua Primary School. I was there for 3 years, from P1 to P3. And then afterwards, I got into the gifted education program, and then I moved to Nanhua Primary School, where I took my PSLE. Yep. And afterwards, I went to RGS, because I tried a lot of new things there, and like this picture here where we performed for National Day. And also, so I was part of the Raffles Academy Mathematics class, and I got some achievements like over here. Then afterwards, I went on to Raffles Junior College. So then I was in RJC for 2 years, and that was where I took my A levels, and I was part of soccer. And this is a photo of us, and it's a throwback to when we could have photos with more than 5 people. And currently, where I am is I'm in NUS, and I'm currently studying medicine. I'm a year one medical student. So that's about me so far, and hopefully I've convinced you that I'm a credible source to be sharing studying tips. Yes. So now moving on to the studying tips. All right. So in general, I have 3 studying tips over here, and I'll be sharing a bit more about each one in my following slides. So firstly, it is that different people have different studying styles. Okay. So what works for someone else might not work for you, and it is something, and figuring out your studying style is something that's worth investing time in. And secondly, practice makes perfect. Okay, so practice makes perfect, and it will at least get you closer to being perfect. All right. And then also, lastly, studying smart is actually more important than studying hard. So it is, while it's important to work hard and study hard, you want to make sure that you're studying the right method so that you're not wasting your efforts. Okay, so the first tip is to find your studying style, because everyone has their own unique style. So for example, like some people might want to write notes after every lesson, right? So for example, if I am learning the topic of algebra, so I have 5 lessons on algebra. So after every single lesson, I will write down what I learned, the most important points, just to make sure that I understand what is going on in each lesson. Then for others, what my work is to write summaries after every chapter. So for example, for the same algebra chapter, so I only do my notes after 5 lessons. Okay, then whereas other people might study in a different way, so they might try practice questions before they even make the notes. Okay? And also, even after you make the notes, when you revise your notes, so how you revise? Do you revise using the summaries that you have written for yourself? Or do you just straight away revisit? Or do you just go ahead and try the questions? Right? So what do you do? So personally for me, I'm not someone who would make notes after every lesson, because I believe that the notes should be very concise and it should be something that you can quickly look through and revise. So I'm someone who would prefer to write summaries after every chapter. Yeah. So then after doing so, then I would try my practice questions following my notes. So I would refer to my notes if I need to, and then I'll try the practice questions. All right. So it is very important for you to find your own studying style. And what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for your friend, but it's all right. So it would be good for you to try different things and then see which one works best for you. Okay, and the second tip would be to practice. So a lot of practice is what really helps for mathematics. So for math, it is not enough to just listen during classes. You need to know how to apply the knowledge as well. So how we can do this is to try practice questions. Okay, so one tip would be while doing practice questions is to note down the challenging questions. So personally, what I would do is either use a highlighter to highlight questions that I found difficult, or perhaps use a post-it to put a tab on the page where the difficult question is. So when I revise, I can look at only those questions and it will save me some time, because the other questions I already know how to do, so I don't have to do them again, and I can only look through the very challenging questions. And another thing about practice is to try different kinds of practice. So firstly, you want to try practice papers and also topical questions. So typically, it would be good to try topical questions right after you learn the topic. So this is just to make sure that you understand the topic. So for example, if I just learn algebra, then I will go and do questions that are only about algebra. Okay, then typically what I would do before exams or closer to exams, so after I've learned quite a few topics, is to try practice papers. So it will be important to try practice papers as well and try it in a time fashion. So for example, if your paper is supposed to be 1 hour, so you sit down for an hour and make sure that you finish the paper within that hour. So how this helps instead of topical questions is that you get to try different topics at once, and it makes sure that you don't just only remember the most recent topic, but you also remember what was taught before that. Okay, so this is why it is important to try both topical questions and also practice papers. Yes. And my last tip would be to learn how to study smart. So it is important to work hard and study hard, but that is not the only important thing. So in order to save time and study more efficiently, it is always good to learn how to study smart. So firstly, what I think has helped me is to strike a balance between making notes and also practicing. So it is to take time to consolidate your learning. So I have some friends who spend a lot of time making notes. So they would write down notes from the worksheets in a very nice form, and then it will look really, really great, but then they don't really have enough time to practice questions. Then I have other friends who don't make notes, and they go straight into doing practices. So that might work for you. And so it depends on what works for you. So for me, what works is to strike a balance between the two. So I will make notes that are quite concise, so quite short notes, just note down important points. So especially for math, it would include like the important formulas. And then it would be good to do both notes and also to practice the questions. So this will help you save time in revision, because you are able to just quickly look through the most important points, and you also know how to apply the points that you wrote down. Okay, and another point is that for school exams, usually what the exam questions will do, okay, is that they will follow the school worksheets. Okay, so this might not be true, but generally for school exams, what they do is they will follow school worksheets. So if you do not have enough time to study, let's say if you do not have enough time to study for your math exam, so my advice would be to try questions from your school worksheets instead of trying practice papers that you might have found online, or that you found, or that you purchased from bookstores, because your school is the one setting the exam. So it will normally follow very closely to the worksheets and questions that they have given you. And also another thing to note is that typically more recent topics have higher weightage. So for example, if it's the last topic that they taught before your exams, it is very likely that they will test more questions from that topic because they have not tested you on that before. But then again, this might not be true for all exams. So it is very good to check with your teacher to find out about what topics are being tested, so you know how to prepare for it. Yeah, and just a disclaimer, so this generally works for school exams, but in order for a holistic education and preparing for national exams, it would be good to study everything. Yes. And another tip would be to focus on weaker topics instead of feel good topics. So I myself have fell into this trap before, where I would do the topics that I am already pretty good at, because it feels good to be able to know every single question, and you actually enjoy the process of doing it more. But then this is not very helpful to you in learning mathematics in general. So it would be best for you to focus on topics that are weaker at, even though it will be harder to do the questions. And lastly is to remember to take breaks. So if you try to study the whole day, like consecutively, it would be very difficult for you to concentrate. So it will be good for you to make sure that you take breaks. Like maybe you could study for an hour, finish a practice paper, and then take a break, like go for a meal, take a walk, or just talk to other people for a while before you go back to studying, so that your brain has a break and then you are able to absorb the content more. Okay, so that's about it for my studying tips so far. And so now I will be introducing a new method of studying that might help you in planning your revision. So this method is called the retrospective revision timetable. Okay, so just to backtrack a little, so the typical timetable that we use, which is this standard timetable, this is how a standard timetable will look like. So we will start off with, we'll plan like our whole week out, and then we will write down at certain timings what I would do, right? So I myself used to use this kind of timetable, and I expect that most of you would also have used this timetable. And wow, look, this is from the lawyer portal. So what is wrong with it, right? It seems pretty legit. So there are actually some problems with this timetable. Okay, so firstly is that it requires us to look into the future to plan the timetable. What this means is that, for example, when I fill up this timetable, I'm probably doing it from last week. So I have to try and predict how long I need to finish each topic, and also on which day I want to do that topic. So it requires me to try and predict what I will be able to do in the future. And because we are humans, we are not magical, it is quite hard for us to do that. Okay, so this is one problem with the standard timetable. And secondly is, the whole point of revision is to make sure that you understand the topic that you have learned. But whereas when you plan such a timetable, where you plan revision out in blocks, it makes it feel like revision is actually just to take up a period of your time instead of understanding. And so this is not the purpose of revision. Yes. And one more thing is that because creating the timetable takes a lot of effort, because you want to plan your whole week, you want to plan all the topics you want to do, and you want to plan the timings you want to do the topic. So because this takes energy and effort, as humans, we tend to procrastinate. So I myself would do that. I would procrastinate during the timetable, and then without a timetable, then I won't even start studying. So this is another problem that we might face when we do this kind of standard timetable. So what can we do to solve this? So here I will introduce to you a new kind of timetable. It's called the retrospective timetable. Okay, so it looks a bit scary over here, but I will walk you through it on how to create such a timetable. Okay, so just an overview on how this kind of timetable works is that in your first column over here, okay, this column here is where you list the topics that you will need to do. Okay, so then over here, then afterwards, in your right side columns, here is where you will list the dates that you revisit the topics. So just to keep track of how much you have revised the topics. And then we see, wow, there are colors here. So why are there colors? So these colors are meant to represent your confidence level on the topic. So it's kind of like traffic light colors. Red is a no-go. So red means that you're absolutely terrible at the topic and you need to revisit it. Okay, and green is, yeah, ready to go. So green means that you're ready for your exams and you're quite confident in it. And the colors in between just follows as such. So red will be the absolutely worst at the topic. Orange is slightly better. Yellow would mean that you're almost ready. And green would mean that you are absolutely ready for your exams. Okay, so how do we go about creating such a timetable? Okay, so here is just an example. So over here, right, as I mentioned on the leftmost column, we want to note down the topics that we need to revise. So for example, for upcoming math exam, let's say you have 3 topics over here. So then you can note down, let's say algebra, integration, and differentiation. We just write it down like this. And the colors will represent how comfortable we are with the topic. So if I am very bad at algebra, so over here, I put a red color. Then for integration, I'm all right at it. I'm still quite bad, but I'm a bit better. I know a little bit. So here I will make it orange. And for differentiation, I think I'm almost ready for the exam. So I would put a yellow color. And so this would indicate how much I know about the topic and how ready I am. So how do we use this to study? Is following the tip that I mentioned is to study your weaker topics first. So here, if we look at over here, so red means it is a weaker topic. So the further away the color is from green, the weaker it is you are at. Yeah. So we start off with the red topic, which is algebra over here. Okay, so over here, let's say the next time I revise, I will first do algebra. So then I will indicate the date that I did it, just to keep track of how much I've revised. So let's say on this day, I revised algebra and I got slightly better at it. I'm more comfortable with algebra. So then over here, then I would make the color a bit more closer to green. So it will go from red to orange. So just to compare, previously my algebra was a bright red. It was a no-go. But now it's slightly better. It is an orange. After one day, I got better at algebra, so I will note this down. So afterwards, how I use this timetable is then I will continue looking. I'll see what else am I weak at. The next time when I'm ready to study, then I will take a look. So now I only have orange topics. Instead, I have no more red ones. So my weakest topics I've already worked on them. So now I want to work on my next weakest topics, which are these ones in orange. So over here, now I will look at this and I will work on algebra and integration. Okay, so the next time then I will note down the dates where I do it over here. So I'll note down, so the next day, let's say I'm studying these 2 topics, then I'll write it down. And then I will also color code it and match how comfortable I am with it. So if I practice both topics, then I improved on both of them. So now I will move from a color orange, I'll move to a yellow. Okay, so from an orange over here, now I worked on it I work on both topics on this day. So now I became a yellow. So I'm slightly better at all of it. So now, yay, all my red and orange topics are cleared, right? So now I'm more prepared for my exam. So the next time I come back and study, then I will take a look at these topics. Okay, now all of them are yellow. So how do I choose, right? So then here it would help to take a look at the dates that you've noted down. So for example, algebra, I've already practiced it 2 times. Integration, I've practiced it 1 time. Differentiation, I haven't done it yet. Okay, so maybe it is the next time I revise, I can do differentiation. So this is what I end up doing. So the next time I study, I note down the date for differentiation over here. So I write down the date and then after I practiced, then hey, I'm ready for differentiation now. So I went from a yellow to a green. So now I note down this color for differentiation, and let's just go back and compare. See? So I was from a yellow, and then I prepared differentiation, and now I am ready. So I'm ready for my exam, and I am green on differentiation. So then we will just continue this. So we'll just continue this every time we revise math. So we'll work on our weakest topic, and then we'll work on it until it becomes a green color. So how this addresses the problems in the standard timetable is that there's absolutely no need to plan ahead. All you need to do to start this is to list down your topics on the leftmost column. So once you put down all of your topics, then you just need to start working on your weakest topic. So then this will give you no excuse to procrastinate. And if anything happens during your planning, let's say you fall sick on one day and you cannot study, so you cannot follow your normal timetable, but you can just come back and continue it on another day. So this timetable is a lot more flexible and it's a lot more effective in helping you prepare for your revision. Yeah, okay. So following this, we can just continue this pattern until everything is green. All right, so this is the end of my introduction of the retrospective revision timetable. Yeah, so you can consider using this for your next exam or just generally while you're studying to keep track of your topics and your level of confidence in them. Yeah. Okay, so I'll be leaving you with a quote. So this is a Latin quote, and it looks very deep, but actually what this means is just that anything said in Latin sounds profound. Yeah, okay, it's a fun quote. All right, so I have come to the end of my presentation. I hope you have found it useful, and yeah, if there are any questions, we can address it. Yeah.
Thank you, Siyu, for your sharing. I really obtained inspiration of making a study timetable from your sharing. Every time I started a timetable, it was so boring that I just threw it in the corner for it to be abandoned by me. It was also not useful as the allocation of time was off and I could not even follow it. So I think the retrospective timetable allows us to have a clear evaluation of our grasp on the concepts and the topics, and I think it's a really good way to plan out the revision. Yeah, so personally, I have several questions to ask first. So the first question is, as we all know, it's really a big step going from primary school to secondary school. So how did you manage to transition as smoothly as possible?
All right, thank you for the question, Anna. So personally, I had that transition a while ago, but from what I remember is that it wasn't an easy process. So from primary school, you only had 4 subjects to deal with. And then once you go to secondary school, there are suddenly so many new subjects. And then it's also a whole new environment. So your friends are not with you anymore. And suddenly there are so many new things and there are a lot of activities to choose from. So now they are not just CCAs. You also have other programs that you can take part in, like some competitions and things like that. So it is quite a scary transition. So a few tips that I have would be to be willing to try new things. So it would be good to remain open-minded. So there are some things that you might not have tried before or heard before, like for example, the new subjects that come up. So it would help to go in and be ready to learn new things. So be excited for it. Like if you've never taken history before and it's a new subject, be excited to learn about history. And attitude makes a difference. Yeah. So it will help to be excited and to be ready to try new things. And secondary school is a good time to explore and try new things. So personally, I joined the RGS house committee, so I helped to organize house events, and I joined new CCAs that I wasn't in primary school, and it made my journey a lot more fun. So it would help to be willing to try new things and yeah, take on new challenges. And one more thing that would help is to be willing to ask for help. So sometimes when you are facing a new subject and you really don't know how to study for it, so it is all right to ask for help from your teachers, from your friends, from your seniors, to ask for advice. So maybe if you're not so sure on why you're not doing well for example, like for your new sciences, because now you're not just learning science as science, you're learning like chemistry, physics, biology. So if you don't know how to learn it, you can talk to your teacher. You can ask your teacher like, "Hi, can I have some advice on how to learn this?" So it would be very helpful if you are willing to go and ask for help from other people. Yeah.
Thank you for your advice. I think there are really good methods to like transition smoothly. And you mentioned about like the increase in subjects. So this like leads nicely to the next question. The next question is, what's your advice on coping with 8 subjects at the same time?
Okay. So that is something that I myself found challenging as well. So you just doubled in the number of subjects from primary to secondary school. So it's from 4 subjects to 8 subjects, and it's something that's quite daunting. So you suddenly have so many more things to study for. So one thing that is very important would be time management. So it is realizing that you have a lot more things to do. So when you're studying, it would help to allocate more time to study. So maybe previously in primary school, if you did not spend so much time studying, then maybe now you can bring a bit more time to study. And also, so while studying, it would also help for you to study effectively. So maybe using the methods that I introduced previously, it will help you to study more effectively, so you're able to learn more within a shorter period of time. So another thing would be to treat each subject differently. So different subjects would require different studying methods. So the methods that I mentioned previously, they are generally helpful in studying math. So for example, practice is very effective for math. But whereas for certain subjects like maybe history or geography or English, where you have to write essays, it might not be so helpful to practice so much rather than to like maybe understand what you're learning. Yeah, so different subjects would require different methods to study, and it is under and like once you realize that you cannot use the same method for everything, it will help you learn each subject more effectively as well.
Yeah, time management is like brought up again, but like sometimes it's not really about time management. It's not about like you don't have time. Sometimes you just don't you just find studying boring at that moment. So how do you find the motivation to learn? Like, yeah.
Yes, that's a very good point, and sometimes I still struggle to find the motivation to learn. So I think something that helps, something that greatly helps in learning is actually being motivated to learn. And so how do we get this? So this is not like being motivated to learn is not something that you can just learn overnight. Like it doesn't just suddenly come like this. So one thing that might help is that if you slowly learn to like the subject. So for example, if you don't like any of the subjects that you're learning right now, right? Like for example, if you take a look at science, then you realize after a while, if you see that like how science can be used to explain things in real life. Like for example, when you learn biology, then you can learn a bit more about how the human body works. And after you and maybe like if you think about how these things can apply in real life, then it will make your learning more interesting and you'll be more interested in it. And so if you really do not appreciate the subjects they are learning, which can happen at times, and I relate to that, like in when I was in secondary school for some subjects as well. So what would help is to try to enjoy the process of learning in general. So if you like the process of improving, and if you feel accomplished by like being better at a subject, so if you are able to appreciate the process of learning more and appreciating the and learning more and improving, then that would also help you get more motivation to want to improve. Yeah. And lastly, if all of that does not work, then it would come down to taking breaks so that you're not studying too much at once. So taking breaks really helps for me. So I would try to learn a certain part, and then I will take a break, do something else, and I'll come back so that studying does not become so boring because you have things that occupy you in between.
Yeah, I totally agree with the fact that to find the motivation, we have to actually appreciate it. And like we need to take breaks because we are human and we're not a machine. So now we've also got some questions from the WeChat group. The questions are on the next slide. So the first question is, 如果大学想学医科，中学必须要学好哪几个科目才会有机会？如何培养对医科的兴趣？ If I want to study medicine in a university, what subjects do I need to excel in secondary school? How to cultivate the interest in medicine?
Alright, okay. So I'll answer this question in two parts. So firstly, it's what subjects would you need to take? What subjects do you need to do well in secondary school in order to have a chance to study in medical school? So I would say that actually, in general, what you study in secondary school does not matter so much in order to get into medical school. It matters more of your JC subject combination. So from what I recall, you need to take H2 chemistry and one other science. Yeah. So your JC subject combination matters more. So in general, for secondary school, it would be good to take the sciences so that you have a basic understanding of like how the body works and how certain processes occur. Yeah, and so the secondary school sciences will give you a very basic glimpse into understanding like the mechanics of medicine. But in general, what you study in secondary school is not a very big factor. The subjects that you take in secondary school is not a very big factor into whether you are able to study medicine in university. And in general, it would be good for you to try to do well in all subjects so that you are able to cultivate good studying habits, which will go a long way in helping you uh in helping you after secondary school as well, wherever you decide to go or whatever course you choose to study. Yeah. And so the second part is how to cultivate an interest in medicine. So personally, I think to me, like medicine has two main parts to it. So one of it is an interest in the sciences and how the human body works, and I think it would be a bit, and the second part would be an interest in interacting with humans, because medicine involves a lot of when you go out and work as a doctor, it will involve a lot of talking to patients, talking to other members on your team. So in general, an interest in medicine to me would encompass an interest in like the biomedical sciences. So in an interest in like the human body and science, and also an interest in human interaction. So how to cultivate these? I would say that it is a bit difficult to cultivate these. I would advise to people who are considering medicine is to, if you have interest in these two aspects, go for medicine. But instead of the other way around, so instead of trying to become interested in these so that you are interested in medicine. Yeah, because if you do not have an intrinsic interest, then it will be quite difficult to study so much. Yeah.
Thank you for your advice. The next question is, 据说报考医科必须要做义工，你可以谈谈这方面的问题吗？ I heard that voluntary work is essential to applying for medicine. Could you say something about this?
Okay, so with regards to how important like volunteering work is in your chances of being accepted into medical school, I have no straightforward answer because I'm not involved in the committee that chooses like medical students. But in general, what medical school does is that it will look for well-rounded applicants. So they will look out for beyond academics, but also like soft skills, like being able to communicate, having empathy for other people, and part of it is being shown through voluntary work. So So in that sense, volunteering work, it helps. It might help in your application, but like there's no say like there's no correlation between, like, let's say, the number of hours that you volunteer and also how much you can get into medical school. So like I would say in general, schools have a minimum CIP requirement that you are required to meet. So it would be good to fulfill these requirements, and if you're interested in the project, then spend more time on it. But otherwise, it is all right, because personally for me, I did not do a lot of volunteering work. So I was involved in like a bunch of other activities, like for example, like in leadership roles or in research. So I think in general, what they're looking out for is just to see that you do things other than studying. So it is not quite volunteering in particular, but it would be good to have it, yeah, to have some voluntary experience, because it would also help you in determining if you're interested in working with people as a career.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't do like VIA work just for like increasing the chances, and I feel like VIA is also like really fulfilling. So yeah, moving on to the next question. 请问小一到小三学生如何准备 GEP 考试？可以推荐一些相关的英语、数学学习教材吗？ How do P1 to P3 students prepare for GEP? Could you recommend some related learning materials on English and math?
So personally, when I was in lower primary, I don't think I specifically prepared for GEP. It was more of like it was more of ensuring that my foundations in English and math were on par. So like for example, I would just prepare for my school exams and do practices as such. And it wasn't really much of like specifically preparing for GEP. And I think I would advise, like my advice would be for other students to also do the same. So because at the end of the day, like it is very important to have a solid foundation in English and math. So regardless, you'll be learning for it. So there's no need to specifically prepare for GEP, because the things that they test would be a very different level from what is taught in school. So there's no way to directly prepare for it. Yeah. And so if I recall some resources that I used, so I would just practice like practice for school exams in general. So it would be just like some assessment books. I think for English, I think I use like this complete English grammar book. And so it's just in general, it's just helping your foundations be okay. Yeah. And I think for math, from what I heard from juniors as well, is that they would test questions that are really that really have not been taught to you. So they want to see like how you try it, like if you're able to solve it, if you're able to like just like use critical thinking to solve it rather than like actually practice in order to solve it. So maybe for math, you can try doing math Olympiad questions. So because those challenge you to think a bit more. Yeah, but in general, I would say focus on your foundations, and just take GB, like the GB exam, just take it along in your stride lah. Like there's no need to like specifically prepare for it. Yeah.
Thank you for your suggestions for like the materials needed. Now let's take some questions from the audience. So the first question is, what was your subject combination in JC? And how did you decide your subject combination in JC?
Okay, so my subject combination in JC was PCME, so physics, chemistry, math, and economics. So how I decided it was, when I started JC, I did not know I wanted to study medicine. So back then, I just chose the subjects that I was stronger in, and also subjects that I guess are more mainstream. So in general, most people, most like the most common subject combinations in JC would be my subject combination, which is physics, chemistry, math, and econs. And the other more popular one would be bio, chem, math, and econs. So personally, I did not know whether I did not know I wanted medicine. So like this, so I did, that wasn't a consideration when I chose between physics and bio. So I chose physics because I was stronger in physics. Yeah. So that's how I decided my subject combination.
Yeah, as can be seen, science is really a popular choice for subject combination. The next question is, what are some difficulties you face when you study?
Okay, so I think one problem that like most people would face when studying is really just is not getting distracted. So sometimes while studying, like it's very easy to get distracted by our devices. Like for example, like if, and especially like let's say if you're studying on your laptop and then you're studying on your computer and then your computer has different messaging applications and notifications pop up, and it's very easy to get distracted from studying. Or for example, if you're trying to do a practice paper and your phone is next to you, then people start messaging you, and it's very easy to just to get distracted from studying and try to like talk to your friends instead. So how I dealt with it is, especially like while studying for my A levels, is I went to more conducive environments. So for example, if I stay in my room, I might have a tendency to sleep because my bed is there. So instead, then I would go out and maybe I would go to school to study instead. And because it is very easy to get distracted from like bioelectronics, like your phone, your computer. So um like when I'm studying, I'll try to put my phone away from me. So for example, like if I'm sitting at a table, then I'll put my phone on the sofa that's like a distance away. Or if I'm on my computer, then I'll make sure that all my messaging apps are closed so the notifications don't come and distract me. Yeah. And so other than getting distracted is I also face the problem of finding motivation to study on some days. And it is really being able to strike a balance between like taking breaks and having the time to study. So sometimes if you realize that you're really very distracted and unable to sit down and unable to take in information, it might be good to take a break, go for a walk, maybe get some food, and then come back and study in a while. Yeah. So that is how those are some of the ways that I study.
Yeah, I think we really need to exercise self-constraint from not using social media and not using the phone when studying. The next question is, do you think student will help by going to tuition?
I think it depends, like whether the need for tuition depends on each individual student. Yeah. So I have friends who struggle in certain subjects, so they would go for tuition for those subjects in order to help them clarify some doubts and improve in a subject. So but personally, I've never had tuition so far because I think for me, I think I study better when I process the content on my own and I try to understand it on my own, and then I can clarify my doubts with my teachers. So I think it depends on each person's studying style as well. So some people might prefer having a third party help them simplify concepts. So I would say that go for tuition if you need to. But personally, I prefer studying my own way. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like you have to understand yourself and choose your own method. So it's like going for tuition is not good or not, but it just depends on you. Yeah. So next question is, did GP play a role in your success? Why or why not?
Okay. So I think a disclaimer would be that when I was in GP, that was like quite a while back. That was many years ago. That was 10 years ago. So a lot of things have changed since then. So what I say now might not apply to future GP students. So, but personally for me, I would say that yes, it has helped quite a lot. So back then, because it was an option to DSA through GP. So I think, and that I got accepted into RGS through DSA using like my GP status. So that took the like I think that helped take the stress of like PSLE off my shoulders. So I think it made studying not so stressful, and maybe that could have contributed to me doing well for PSLE as well. And I think the GP curriculum also has some added aspects compared to like to the normal curriculum. So like we had different activities, like for example we had to do some projects like writing book reviews, or like I remember one time we had to build a box to cook an egg under the sun. So I think it's doing things like this that helps to challenge your way of thinking, and it helps you learn how to think more critically. And I would say that it also helped to make my transition to secondary school a bit easier, because I have experience doing some of the projects before that like maybe other primary school students have not had the chance of experiencing.
Yeah, I think like GP allows us to have like hands-on, and then like in secondary school there's also a lot of projects. So I think GP allows us to have like exposure to it before secondary school and makes the transition easier. The next question is, it's phrased in a very interesting way. So it's like, anyway, I have no interest in bio, but I still decided to take it. So is bio necessary for medical?
Absolutely not. So your situation would be a bit unfortunate that you're taking a subject that you do not have an interest in. And I hope that you find a way to like the subject so that studying would not be so tedious. But like bio is not a prerequisite for medical school. So when you apply, all you need, if you apply from the JC route, all you need to do is to take chemistry, H2 chemistry, and one other H2 science. So that science could have been biology or physics. So if you are taking bio because you want to apply for medical school, I'm sorry to disappoint, you did not have to do that. But it helps. It does help at the start. So currently, like they teach some content that has already been covered in the H2 biology syllabus. That so me as a physics kid, I have not learned it before. So my my peers who took biology like might have a slight advantage. But I've spoken to seniors, and it's a general consensus amongst like both like physics and bio students that especially like as you go through, like especially as you go into the upper years of medical school, whether you took physics or bio doesn't make a difference at all. Yeah. So it is absolutely not necessary to take bio, but it might help slightly. Yeah.
This is really new information for me, as I always thought that biology was like a must for like medical. So thank you for your advice. Due to time limit, the last question would be, do you have tuition in primary 1 to 3 before going into GP program?
So from P1 to P3, no, I did not have tuition. Yeah, and yeah, so from like in fact from primary school all the way through JC, I have not had tuition.
Wow, that's really amazing. So now we conclude the Q&A segment. At last, I would like to let Betty over and conclude our sharing session. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you a lot. Okay, so that's the end of today's session, and afterwards we will actually share the recorded video of today's session as well. So anybody missed the beginning sessions, just you can watch out our shared link in the group chat later. Okay, and I would like to give a round of applause. Let's give a round of applause in the live chat to to thank the speakers, Siyu, to thank the speaker Siyu and our host today, Anna. And I would like to invite Rongli to the stage as well. Rongli is actually beside the scene. Hi. That is Rongli. She facilitated the complete event for today. So yeah, it's closing tonight. And okay, let me give one applause to Anna. Okay, so yeah, sorry, just 1 minute. And anybody interested about our future events, we actually have constantly sharing sessions and different public events. Like in the past, we have hosted our public class event, that a 2-day boot camp. It's actually readily available in our 公众号, that you can do the revision of certain topics for Sec 3, Sec 4 topics. And it's available there just for you to watch the recorded videos. Yeah, so okay, and I will put our social media account here again. So anybody who wants to follow some latest information, you can just join either our, okay, this one is the 公众号, and another is the Telegram group for the English version, or you can join our Instagram for some of the latest information to get the latest information as well. So yeah, that's all for today, and thank you everyone to be here, and yeah, just bye-bye. Okay, you can say bye-bye. Okay, we will end the session today. Thank you. Yeah. 关掉就可以了，你们关掉就可以。